when it comes to like being cool, cigarette still wins.
It's not as dangerous or as not as harmful.
The tobacco industry is such an influence. It's crazy.
Hello and welcome to the new podcast. This one is so special. It's going to be all in English. I believe it's an 8th episode. So I would like to welcome you to the historical first episode of Now Talks in English. I brought the host you may have seen on the channel. His name is George Studensky.
Yeah, well, it's actually Easy Studensky, but like it's George is a direct translation, so I mostly use that when I'm talking in English. It's more comfortable to pronounce than Easy Studensky.
So in this podcast, we will perhaps elaborate more on the topics we discussed in the previous ones.
Yeah.
And we will bring something, we will perhaps, or even like, go back and say something again. I'm going to ask him similar questions because maybe this will get to the audience who may have not seen the first podcast. So just for it to make it clear. So as I'm going to repeat myself as in the previous episode, but could you introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So as has already been mentioned, my name is George Studensky. I'm currently 20. And I've recently finished high school, or rather the Czech equivalent of a high school with, gaining the Maturita exam certificate, which is like a school-leaving certificate. And now I'm going to enroll at a university in September. And hopefully in 5 years I'll get my master's, and then I'm going to move to my desired country, which is the United States.
Okay, so I'm gonna start perhaps with a simple question. Where did you learn how to speak English so fluently, and why did you perhaps choose to even perfect the accent to such a degree?
Well, I mean, it all comes down to, your, like, how you want to be viewed and your own preferences, right? Because, like, I've just mentioned that I want to move to the United States, and there's, like, having this accent-free way of speaking. Well, you call it an accent, but like in the US, they would say that I'm accent-free because like they're just used to this way of talking. And it comes down to the fact that I also spend a lot of time with native speaker, which are utilized quite frequently here in the Czech school system, to better the kids at English at school. And I spend a lot of time off school with them as well, like after school hours, practicing English, mostly for my C1 or CA certificate, which you have as well. Or actually, we've got the C2 higher level one, but it's just like on paper. It's not. We haven't done the more advanced test.
Oh, you did not.
No, well, I didn't. You actually did. Yeah, sorry, my bad. So I spent a lot of time with this guy. His nationality is Greek, but he was born in New York. And quite funnily enough, actually I haven't caught like the New York accent like from him. I'm like my accent is mostly like general American, if you can call it like that. And it comes down to the fact that we like practice a lot of speaking, especially because like I enjoy speaking, as you might have noticed in the previous episode, which you should go and watch, and also subscribe to Hero Hero. There's your little plug here. And so we did a lot of talking. I got more and more fluent. I would just like highlight the fact that like when it comes to English and learning just like a foreign language in general, second language or third in general, it's most important for you to practice. Like it's the alpha omega, as the Czechs say a lot here, to practice. Because like if you know the theoretical things but don't like know how to apply them in praxis, you are gonna come out lacking.
Okay.
All right.
So could you perhaps more elaborate on how the process of learning English went for you? Because you said you talked to a native speaker, but perhaps in the Czech Republic it's not really normal for a lot of students to even encounter native speakers or to achieve
I've said sorry for interrupting.
Or to achieve such a level of English as yours. So if you could perhaps elaborate more on that.
Sure.
On the entire process, like, from, let's say, elementary school to high school, how did you improve your English throughout the years, except for the part with the native speakers, which you've already mentioned?
All right. So, I pretty much it's hard for me to think back and like kind of revisit my path to learning English, if you can call it that, because it's like quite mysterious, honestly. Even like how I did it is quite like interesting, because it was solely mostly just like entirely based off of me like listening to English speaking YouTubers like on YouTube. Because like I was never like a very social guy like in my childhood and growing up as well. Like in my puberty years, I was like spending most of my time on the internet and like talking with friends, but mostly just like watching and binging YouTube videos or like playing games while I was listening to them. And I just think that me learning English so well and so like fast, because like I improved massively over the span of like 2 years, it comes down to the fact that I watch these videos and listen to a lot of them. I picked up some of the things that the people would say. By that I mean mostly vocabulary. I wrote it down, and I actually have got this app. It's called Cambridge Dictionary, and it's available on App Store. And it costs like 200 crowns, like $10. But when you download it, it's got the entirety of the like formal dictionary there, so you can just like pretty much search for any word and like a definition will come up. So that's how I like broadened my vocabulary. And in addition, like YouTube is a sphere dominated by Western influencers, and especially American ones, because like the Americans are pretty much the pioneers of the internet. So a lot of the people, which could, so a lot of people there talk with an American accent, which actually trickles down to me, and I also talk with an American accent. To also like partially answer your previous question. So it's like, so to sum up, like it was mostly through listening to English speaking people on YouTube. That's how I learned English.
Okay. I'm just gonna put just a simple question. Why did you, let's say, choose to pursue the CA exams?
Well, because I wanted to, first of all, like prove to myself that I actually know English as far as other people suggested to me. Because like I've always been viewed like as the leading person in class in terms of like English comprehension. At primary school, I was always the guy people would turn to if they wanted help, like with exercises. If they wanted help with learning English, like in general, they would always like turn to me. Even the teacher would refer the students to me. So I was like, I had this reputation of being like extremely good at it, but I also wanted to prove to myself that I'm good at it. So that was one like motivational factor. And the other one is just like the legitimate aspect and like being respected like on paper, because that's also important in today's society. It's not to just show that you've got the skills. It's also to like have it documented, and have an official piece of paper helps in establishing your reputation. For example, if you're applying for a job.
And the CAE was the first Cambridge exam you've undergone, or
no. My first one was B2 or FC for certificate in English, which I took in 2019, I believe. No, actually 2018 or something like that. That was like the first test that I took. It was I don't know, it was offered to me by our primary school, so I just took it.
And why did you decide to go for the CAs and not the CPs?
Well, first of all, the primary reason for me, and this is kind of fun, this is actually kind of funny, is that I hate doing tests on paper, and the CPE test can only be taken on paper. It can't be taken on a computer. The two previous tests I've taken, the CA as you mentioned, and the B2 certificate one, the FCE, where I've done them on a computer.
Well, sorry to interrupt you, but are you sure about that? Because I believe that when I got the choice about like the date of my CPs, I was offered the possibility to take computer-based version and a paper-based version.
Oh,
So maybe it has changed, but I'm not sure
Yeah,
about
it
it
might have changed.
because it may be just the school thought so that it would be possible to do it on the computer, but I prefer the paper-based.
Yeah, so the two previous ones I did, the certificates like the CA and FCE, I did using through a language school, Cloverleaf, which is like one of the most popular ones here in the Czech Republic. And they only, when I checked their website for the CPE exam, they only offered courses or the tests in paper form. So that's why I say that it can only be taken on paper. I know where our school, because we went to the same school.
Yeah, but I did the test through Cloverleaf as well. Yeah, because
So they might just change it over the course of 2 years. Yeah.
But I think that they don't have really a lot of, let's say, I don't want to say volunteers, but a lot of, let's say, applicants for the CPs.
No, they don't.
Because I remember it was quite funny that there was my friend and I, and we were it was like a bet for us, to take the CPs.
Oh.
Because I had the same thing as you. I scored like 200 on my CAs, so therefore I got the C2 level written down. But one of my teachers in the IB diploma program said, well, that's nice, but it's not a real C2, it's not a real CP. You still have written down like advanced, not proficiency. So I was like, you know what, just sign me up for it. I will see what I will do. So, and my friend said, okay, I'm going to do it to you. So he signed up as well. And, we were like not really preparing a lot because a lot of people prepare for the exams. Like they take some additional classes. They perhaps hire a tutor or something like that. And I studied like for not even 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, I remember I was talking to you, I was like, how are you preparing for the CPE test? And you were like, oh, well, it was just an apropos decision, and like a week prior to that, I remember you showed me, you had like an exercise book or something, and it was like pretty much all your preparation, right? You did a couple of exercises and then you like went on with
I did. No, I like my preparation composed of older tests, I did the practice tests again and again and again, and I was lucky to pass it because it may seem like easy that I say that I prepared for 2 weeks, but it was like the active preparation. If I should be honest, with myself and with perhaps the viewers, I was blessed, to study in the English environment and to do everything. So I passively prepared for the past couple of years.
Yeah, because like you study IB.
Yeah, I studied the IB diploma. Therefore, I studied everything in English. I was constantly writing essays in English, so I did not have to practice writing anything, etc. So I just had to prepare for the structure of the test, and the CPs are actually quite hard. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's not an easy test, really. I thought that I will do better than I did, and I was disappointed at certain parts. Especially, believe I had a terrible use of English. But it's not because I would not know the idioms and the phrases there, but in that time pressure I could not really find the right answers at a certain time.
Yeah, this is actually quite interesting because like reading and the use of English part was always the easiest for me, like hands down. Like the hardest one for me always was the one I was most afraid of was writing, but like the hardest one was reading. Like over the course of the 2 tests I've done.
Yeah, well, I was actually surprised because I thought that I will do worse on the reading part, and I actually did better than I have expected.
Yeah, so that's why I say it's kind of funny, right?
Yeah, because the text at the CPs, it was really like interesting. There's the easy exercise when you have like those 5 questions and they're in a chronological order and you go one by one and you find it in the text. That's the simplest part, and you should always get like 5 out of 5. It's not really a part where you should struggle, but the last text, when you have a certain like 10 questions, 12 questions, and you should find the paragraph in which there's supposed to be the answer. I had a trouble that all the paragraphs seemed the same to me. Because
it's always hard.
But it was because of the topic. Like, it really depends on the topic you get. I hate, for example, like the classical music, inserts arts in general, like the history of arts.
Yeah.
I don't really find it interesting
Me
and
neither.
captivating. So the entire text was about like the history of this theater, which plays they were teaching there, or not teaching, they're playing there,
Yeah.
and how the actors were taught about the plays and
Yeah.
about ballet and everything.
Uh-huh.
So it was really something I did not find interesting, and I had to find all these answers in it. So I was sure about like half of the answers. Then I just guessed.
Yeah, it really depends on the topic. If you like the topic that you get is your strength, then well, that's obviously going to be easier for you to like complete the task. Well, what I got from what I remember was like story of the Chinese purple, which is like a very specific color, which I don't really take an interest in, like a specific interest in. And alongside that, I had like I had an article about butterflies, which like wasn't my so you can like tell that these weren't my strongest themes that I got, but still I managed like to do the exercise. I think like reading is hands down the hardest. But you mentioned like in the use of English part. You mentioned that they use a lot of idioms. I didn't really, because I mean I'm curious because I didn't really encounter that in the CAE one.
Yeah, well, because in the CAE they still focus on the grammar, and when you take the CPs, they actually already anticipate that you will have a decent level of grammar.
Yeah.
So they will give you certain phrases which are not as common, because for example, you will find like basic. I'm not sure if they were like really idioms, like something like beating around the bush or something like that.
Yeah, that's kind
But-
of an idiom. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I know that's an idiom, but I'm saying that they were, you wouldn't find similar idioms on the test, but you would find like simpler ones, the idioms which are simple, but you would find phrases, and some of the phrases are really easy, and you will hear them like in everyday English or in everyday communications with someone, but there were phrases I never seen before. So I was like a bit shocked. It was like the first exercise, when you have the fill in the blank,
you fill in the gaps. Yeah.
fill in the gaps, and you have the 4 choices.
Yeah.
So it was like
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
actually, like I find these like to be one of the hardest, right? You would think that from like the test where you have these exercises, like the hardest part would be like filling the blanks without like a clue, without like these 4 choices. Like you have to like fill in a blank on your own. But actually, like I found recently when I took an English test for like my application to a university, that I really struggle when I'm given multiple options. I'm like doubting myself. I'm like, oh well, is it gonna be option A or option B? Like, oh, it might actually be C. Like, I'm doubting myself for some odd reason, even though I know what the real answer is. So I think like this has a psychological factor that makes it quite hard to complete these sorts of exercises.
When I'm like doubting myself in this, unless I'm 100% sure to change the answer, I always stick to the first one, because I remember that my teacher in the 5th grade, she told me that if you ever are choosing between A and B, and you first have put A, and now you think it's B, just stick with A. And it's usually correct, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Well, then the CPs are not really different from CAs. They are actually different in writing, and there's a big difference. That you have an optional section there, or not optional, but when you take the CAEs and the FCEs, you have always like 3 topics in the second part of the writing. Yeah. You could choose between 3 different...
like an email, like a letter to a friend,
writing styles or writing formats, or call it whatever you want. But text types, that's the right phrase, or right word. But there you have, I believe, 5 options. But for you to utilize the 2 options, which are extra, you have to read like a certain book.
Oh.
Because apparently they publish somewhere on their website which books will be, in the test.
Oh, yeah.
And you should write like a report on that book or something like that. And it was funny because my friend, he did not really prepare for the exams at all. He did not watch like any tutorials.
Yeah.
I always like watch at least the 20-minute tutorials
Understandable.
how to do the right thing because
Yeah.
I don't want to be really surprised.
Mhm.
And we walked out of the room and he said, "Well, I wrote a report about the book." And I said, "Have you read the book?" And he's like, "No, I just invented the entire
Oh yeah.
story of the book." It's like, how? What do you mean invented the
Yeah,
entire
you
story?
can't do that. No.
It's like you were supposed to read the book. And like, oh,
And what was it? What was
I
it?
have no idea actually, and I don't know where they publish the books. Like when they publish the information, where
So it wasn't like on Cloverleaf's website, or
No,
you
no.
weren't warned beforehand from the teachers.
no, nobody told me actually. I just I learned about it in the YouTube video.
Mm.
Like nobody really told me where to find the books,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we had a lot of time to prepare
Yeah,
for it,
yeah.
but I had no idea where to
That's
to
kinda
search for the
interesting. Yeah.
search for the information.
I never knew that you had to have like prior knowledge. It's like, for me, it's kind of antithetical to the concept of an English test, like, because you're supposed to be prepared. Like, by taking the test, you demonstrate that you're able to work with any given topic, and that your English level doesn't change, and that you're able to answer certain questions and solve certain exercises like at random, like you don't have prior knowledge. So that's kind of interesting. I didn't know that.
But it's optional. You still have like the
Oh,
free
yeah,
text
well.
types you can choose from, so it doesn't really differ as much. But there's the extra option, for you.
Yeah, sure.
Because one of them is always like an essay, I believe.
Mhm.
So if you want to write 2 essays, you could actually find out the book that will be on the test, and you can write 2 essays. But one of the hardest thing was for me the speaking, and it was not
Really?
but it was not because of the English level or because of the structure. It was because it was the first time I did like a Cambridge speaking in a group of 3.
No, so because usually it's only in a group of 2.
Yeah, but when you have 3 applicants for the entire for the entire CPAs, you have to do it in this group. So this was actually.
And does the amount of time change?
Yeah, I believe you have more time.
Oh, makes sense. Yeah.
But it's more chaotic, because you have to leave. You have to let the other people talk, and when you have to decide on something, you have to take in consideration 2 more opinions and not 1. So it's a bit different because my friend and I have already prepared the structure that we're gonna disagree, and he's gonna be the one who's gonna convince me, and I'm gonna be one.
And then they were like snap their fingers, and a third person shows up.
Yeah, exactly. So it was.
So you didn't know about it beforehand.
No. Because we came there and we were like, we came into the room. It was like, okay, so there's a bunch of people talking about FCs. Then there's like a smaller group of, I believe it was like 8 girls taking the CAE, and then just one Chinese lady came, and she's like, does anyone know where's the CP pod? And we did not know where it was as well. So the girls were like, "Oh, you're taking CPEs?" I was like, "Yeah, it's my first Cambridge test."
And so, did you actually do it at Cloverleaf, or did you do it?
The Cloverleaf in the building.
Yeah.
And then we talked with.
Because I knew you did it through school, so I don't know how the process works, because I always did it like on my own, like independently.
No, we did it through the school, so I could get it for free.
Yeah, I understand, but like I thought that if you do it at school, you would actually be like on the premises of the school.
Yeah, if you that counts. That's true, unless you take the CPs.
Okay.
Because I did the CAs under the premise of the
okay.
school. So just if you take like the CPs, because there's not a lot of people in the Czech Republic taking CPs.
Yeah, actually, that's kind of like staggeringly low amount of Czech people can actually speak English fluently. I see it on TikTok all the time. Which is TikTok, not a good source, but like. When you've got these, these skull for maps where they show like English fluency, like Czech Republic always ranks among the worst. Like, and I don't get it. Like, I feel like it's maybe because I've got a biased view because I attended a school, and especially class with a lot of talented and like intelligent people. So a lot of them knew English very well. But like, if you look at the statistics, it's only like 33, like a third of the country, only a third can speak fluently in English and hold a conversation.
Yeah, but really. It's hard to explain. Well, not hard to explain, but hard to, solve this problematic or come to the roots of it.
Yeah.
But I believe that it's because the level on the school is really low. Like the teachers themselves, you know, you have plenty of schools,
Yeah.
but I would say that not even half have like a proper staff to teach English.
What I think is that the Czech school system also lacks like positive motivation to learn English. It's always like because they force it upon you, and a lot of kids at the school just don't want to learn it. They just they see another subject that they have to get a passing grade from, and they just like struggle with it because it's forced upon them.
I believe that they don't see the benefit, that the
Yeah.
school doesn't really focus on showing them the benefits of actually understanding English,
Yeah.
because they will tell you, well, it's good for your job, or you can find like, you know, a better paying job, or you can apply for an internship abroad, but they will not really tell you about the other details. For example, if you want to travel, it's always good to know English.
Yeah. It's an international language, sure, but I'm not even sure about the first part you said, because, like, for example, at our primary school, there was never talk. But again, it was primary school, so it's like, biased perspective. But there was never like talk about international work and stuff like that, and especially like in probably. A lot of people, like, especially now in Czech society, like, the Czech society is constantly, the Czech politicians are constantly complaining about the fact that there's lack of craftsmanship in the Czech Republic, that a lot of people are not attending trade schools anymore, that we don't have, like, plumbers and stuff like that. And so I think that, the emphasis on prioritizing English education is also not there because of, like, these reasons that the government doesn't want the students to emigrate. Like, it might be my perspective, but if I think about it, it may be one of the factors, right? Because, like, if you've got a population which knows English very well and can, like, hold a conversation fluently, they can all, like, work to Germany or something, right?
Yeah, but for example, the Germans, they had their own country, and almost all of them, like, can have...
Yeah, but they're
can hold a conversation.
Yeah, sure, but, like, their country is one of the most wealthiest on the planet. Like, Czech Republic is, like, right now bleeding money because we have a staggering inflation rate and all that. So I think that the incentive is just not there for the Czech government to incentivize English, because they don't want them to leave, like the Czech citizens, because, like, the Czechs can go to, as I mentioned, Germany, Sweden, and stuff like that. Because, like, the Germans are not motivated. Like, they've got all the money they need is in Germany. Like, they're not that keen on emigrating as Czechs are.
That's true, because, it's always, like, the fun fact when you compare, like, those two countries, like Germany and Czech Republic, because, we're neighbors, so it's really easy for us to go there, and you see the prices in their, like, shop, and you go there and you actually realize that they have, like, same prices as us, or some things are even, like, cheaper.
Yeah.
And then you look at the average
household income.
Yeah, exactly. And then you see
it's
the
like
big difference.
astronaut exponentially higher than us. Yeah, I apologize to the listeners for making this a political podcast once again, but I just so wanted to touch on the possibility that this might be one of the motivating factors why the Czech school system is not as focused on it.
It's actually English. Like funny, even like as students, we notice like the price difference.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, no, I mean that when we travel there, in the previous episode, you could notice Krista was here actually, and a few years ago, him and one friend who's gonna be a star in the next episode or in the other episodes to come.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, foreshadowing at its finest. We went to Germany in the summer for like a week, or not a week, even like for 4 days. And it was actually funny that, for example, when we looked at kebab, it was cheaper in Berlin than in Prague, and it was even better. And then we went, then we went into the shops and we were like, okay, we don't have that in Czech Republic. We don't have that in Czech Republic.
It's actually worse quality.
Cherry Coca-Cola, we don't have that here. And it's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
I don't want to say delicious, but it's delicious as well.
It's much better.
Something.
And it also has got a better mixture because, like, also we get worse food than Germans.
But it's funny thing that they have it in Hungary, which is like on the same level as Czech Republic, and it's often compared, like in a certain ways. And they have cherry Coca-Cola, and we don't have it. I believe they were one of the few states who don't have it.
Yeah,
and I'm so pissed.
But actually, like, you can get a lot of them at like the Vietnamese bodegas.
Oh yeah,
They
but
had
you
a
know,
lot.
but you know, you cannot.
They're
get-
just import geniuses. Like I don't get like how the Vietnamese like in the Czech Republic get so much foreign stuff in here. Like it's always crazy. I just like you walk to a major supermarket chain like Lidl or something, and you can't see like a cherry Coke, but like then you walk into a Vietnamese shop and it's like fucking products from the West all over. Like I don't get it.
Yeah, but you know, like Lidl, they make their own products as well.
Yeah, sure.
But that's one.
Freeway cola.
Yeah, freeway cola. But one thing that we don't have as in Czech Republic is that they have these protein ice creams, and we don't have cookies and cream flavor. And when we went to Hungary with my girlfriend, this summer, they had it. They had this amazing flavor. It was so good, so delicious. They had cherry Coke as well. They had such a great things, and we don't have them.
And yet you still constantly hear talks of Orban fucking up his country, and yet here he is having more Western products than us, despite the fact that he's being called an authoritarian illiberal.
But you cannot just say this based on the products. Really.
Yeah, I understand.
But it's funny, like that.
But we got the new caps for like Cokes.
Yeah, that's true.
Those ones you can't remove.
Those ones you can't.
Which our
remove.
former prime minister was recently complaining about on TikTok.
Ex-prime minister.
Yeah. Former.
Oh yeah, you said former. I did not hear that. Sorry,
Former
I just
prime
heard like the prime minister, and I was like,
yeah, he's got a really blossoming TikTok career.
Yeah,
right
if
now.
you want to really entertain yourself, just visit Andrej Babiš on TikTok, and it's great.
But he's got like free. For him, it's like the meme-free real estate because like the other parties really don't want to join in on it. Because I heard in an interview with Leif Fiala, the current prime minister, is like, oh well, I've got Instagram, I've got Facebook. Despite the fact that these are not used by young voters, which the government should be focused on. Instagram, sure, but like Facebook is like pretty much right now is just like boomers, or at least in the US it is. Like in the Czech Republic as well. You just see like moms just posting like these stupid ass emojis like from 10 years ago. Yeah. So no, sorry, we veered off quite a bit there.
We can continue.
We
with
talked about cherry Coke.
Yeah,
last.
we can.
So I am. Saddened by the fact that we don't have as many non-sugar products here, like these zero-calorie ones. It was in the US when I was there. They had entire shelves dedicated to like soft drinks that were like calorie-free, and we just don't have that here. We have like Coke Zero, we've got the Pepsi Max, but we don't get like. I don't know. Is like Fanta even like sugar-free?
Yeah, we have
should be, right?
We have a version of like a sugar-free Fanta, but I don't believe it's the original one, like the orange. But I know the blue or like the one in the blue bottle.
The Chocada.
Yeah, I think that's a sugar-free one. I believe one, and
is it?
Yeah. I was actually surprised because I bought it just like that on a random, and I turned it around and I noticed it's like a sugar-free version.
Yeah.
And I know that in a certain shops there's like a sugar-free Sprite or like something like that.
You can get that like Sprite Light or what? It's
Yeah,
got the gray cap. It doesn't have the green one. It's got the right, but
that's but I think we have a lot of energy drinks which are sugar-free on the other hand.
I don't get it. Like, how is the energy drink industry booming so much in the Czech Republic? I don't feel like in the West there's such a cry for energy drinks as here is like.
Because it's the trends for the kids, It's the fact that I believe Czech kids, they start drinking energy drinks really early on, and then you make just this addiction.
Yeah.
If I look at myself, I know I'm addicted to caffeine 100%.
Yeah, me too. But like, for me, it's mostly coffee or Red Bulls. I don't really like any of the Czech brands like Semtex or Tiger that much. No.
I don't know.
It's just me. Yeah, I'm just like rambling about
you were talking
energy
about
drink industrial complex here.
You were talking about energy drinks in general, yet you drink energy drinks. So
I mean, I drink Red Bull.
And a Monster.
On occasion, if I can't get the Red Bull, it's too expensive.
Yeah, you buy a can of Red Bull for 44 crowns rather than buying a can of Monster for 30 crowns.
Well, it comes down to preference.
And you get double the caffeine and double the amount. Monster is simply better than Red Bull.
I care about the label.
The label.
No. So, anyways, what were we?
But we could
about?
go on with like the caffeine.
You want to go on a tangent with caffeine?
Yeah, I want to go on a tangent about caffeine because I like the topic, and I think we discussed it in the previous episode with. Not with you, but with Daria, which will come out soon, or is already out when you're watching this. Already a few weeks out.
Hero.
And on Hero Hero, if you've not paid for the extra content, go on, buy it now.
Check it out. It's good. It's good. I paid. I was the first subscriber, and it's great.
We sent him his episode for free, then he had to buy the rest.
Yep.
Capitalism.
Yeah.
No, but about the coffee,
It's worth it.
It's actually like the Czech memes that, you know, that the Czech breakfast is contains cigarette and coffee.
It's coffee. It's
and
like the recipe for diarrhea.
No, but it's like the boomer version, because I think that a lot of young people, they have an energy drink and a vape.
Yeah.
I thought about it for quite some time, and I was like, I never had that for breakfast, but I had it for dinner. Because when I was studying for the IB for my final tests, and I was also writing like certain essays before that, I, you know, went to bed around like 3 a.m.
Damn.
And so I was like, you know, drinking energy drinks, and I was, you know, smoking my vape because of the nicotine, which helps you concentrate, and it also helps.
Did you like run out of the sniff tobacco or whatever that's called? Because like you always give it to me like on certain occasions.
Yeah, on certain occasions. Yeah. Like
I didn't know you vape.
I vaped for like 6 months, and then
it was just like a period.
Yeah, it was like a period from time to time, and I made a deal with Christoph basically that after the midnight of 31st of May, I had to give my vape to him, and I gave it to him actually early on, just after I finished our...
Oh, yeah. So you like made a deal that you wouldn't get addicted and you would surrender it.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think it did not help. I still think that I'm certainly addicted to nicotine a bit, but I see that, for example, my breath and my performance has improved, yeah.
Yeah, and actually there's been a lot of talk from like Czech influencers on... Well, I say a lot of talk. I saw one Instagram story from Anna Maria Poric, like, which is like famous for having fucking hairy armpits. But like she went on a ramble about how, but she's actually now she dates Gogo Man, like one of the most popular like solo YouTubers.
Okay, go on.
Now, so she went on a rant about how stopping to vape actually improves your skin, and I actually looked it up on like Western like media as well, like on Western TikTok or Instagram, and a lot of people actually say that like vapes like they cause your skin to like harden a bit, and like a lot of pimples come out. So it's like actually beneficial, not in terms only of like your lung care, however you want to call it, but also your skincare. Yeah, which is kind of interesting.
Well, the thing about vaping is that I've recently watched like the document about the history of tobacco and the industry behind it. And actually, you know, vapes are actually their master plan or the masterpiece from these companies, because they actually managed to fulfill their goal and get a new generation of smokers.
Yeah, they just like relabeled it, like made a new product and made it seem more like healthy, which
it's not healthy, but it's less dangerous.
Dangerous. It is, but you've had like electric cigarettes, so it's kind of like So I agree. They were good on
like the thing about vaping is actually it's cheaper. It's a way cheaper.
I never like vaped, so I don't know.
I make the comparison, because I vaped for, let's say, 6 months, roughly, and I actually, during those periods, I had like weeks when I vaped a lot, and I had weeks when I did not use even the vape, like, let's say, 5 days in a row. But the good thing about it is that you can pull it out, and you can just take 2 puffs, and then you just put it back. For example, you could not do this with a cigarette.
Yeah, we have to finish it.
Yeah, you had to finish it. You don't smell. There is no negative smell. Nobody.
Or you got positive smell, because you got all sorts of flavors. You can smell like a blueberry.
It doesn't work.
Like you mean body odor. Body. I thought you meant breath.
Yeah, breath. You do. When you vape, it doesn't leave any odor in your breath.
Like when my friend was talking to me after he vaped like blueberries, his breath smelled like blueberries.
Okay, I think if you take like at least like 3-4 minutes, nobody knew a thing. The other thing, it's cheaper, because I bought like 10 bottles of liquids, which is each was like 10 milliliters. And
How long does it last?
it depends how much you
Yeah,
vape.
for the average vapor.
Like for me, it lasted usually for 3 weeks, like one bottle.
Damn.
For 100 crowns, 110 crowns.
Yeah, and a pack of cigarettes now costs like 130. So.
Yeah, it depends like on what
Yeah,
brand.
yeah,
But
sure.
when I was, younger and we smoked cigarettes, as like
At
this.
the church.
Not at a church, in front of a church.
At the church. Yeah, well, yeah, in front of it. That's what I meant. On the premises of
on
the
the
church.
premises of the church. Well, we smoked like yellow camels, so
Mhm.
and they now cost like 140 crowns.
That's crazy.
And let's say I would like light up 3-4 a day. It
Mhm.
would be like at least 2 times or 3 times more
Mhm.
expensive.
Yeah, it is.
And you would. I didn't like the odor. You
Mm.
would have to hide it from people.
Yeah, it freaks
When you
like
come to
crap.
school, people do automatically know you smoke.
Mm.
Right now, they don't know I vaped.
Mm-hmm.
And-
No, it's untraceable.
Yeah. The only people who knew I vaped were basically my friend
Mm.
Christoph, my mom, and one more other friend.
What did your mom think of it?
Well, I started like vaping without telling her. When one time she just busted into my room,
Mhm.
and she was wondering like, what is the thing with the lights, that she could see some like smoke.
yeah, yeah.
I said, just the lights are too bright right now, and it
Lying
was.
to your mom like that? You should have just like admitted to it right away.
Well, I did 2 days after,
Mhm.
because I said it's not worth it really for me to experience the stress,
Yeah.
of hiding it
Yeah,
and
it's
shit.
just like pretending it's
So
nothing.
I was like, okay, I'm 18. I can officially buy it. I can legally buy it. So I came to the living room. I was like, Mom, I have to tell you something. And she was worried, like what I'm gonna tell her,
Yeah, yeah.
So because when you bust into the room and tell your parents, I have to tell you
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
It's usually nothing really
Sense of
positive.
trouble.
So I was like, look, Mom, I'm not smoking, but I'm vaping. Something like that. I told her, is like, don't worry. It's not like for forever. It's for this specific like time
Period of
frame.
Yeah.
Time frame or period of time.
Mm-hmm.
From like I started like a few weeks ago. I'm gonna finish on this exact date, and then you will never see me like with a
Mhm.
vape in my hands again. So yeah,
What did she say?
she was not. She wasn't like mad, but she
so
said.
she tolerated it.
Yeah, she said, I hope you're not gonna get an addiction or
Mhm.
start smoking like full time or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, she said, okay, I know you have a lot of stress in school because, I was doing basically
Yeah. Two school leaving exams.
2 school leaving exams, 2 diploma programs. you
And
could
also
say.
like writing 20 essays a week.
Yeah, that's just an overstatement. But yeah, it was pretty, let's say, challenging. So yeah, she was alright with it.
Yeah, because I always wondered how like parents would react to it, because like like a lot of parents start to tell their kids like don't smoke, all right. So I was interested in how they would react to a vape, because like it's a modern day, pretty much just like a modern like rebranding of a cigarette.
Yeah, but at least it's not as dangerous or as not as harmful apparently to do according to the studies. But there's a problem that there are not really long-term studies. There's like these
Yeah.
that have been going on for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
but in these, let's say, terms, they have to be longer.
Mm-hmm.
But the things that I'm actually surprised about is the popularity of the one-use electronic cigarette.
Yeah, what do you call them?
L-bars or
L-bars, yeah.
They have so many brands right now. It's not like
Yeah.
L-bar anymore, but it's Viso or something like that.
Mhm.
There's plenty of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually like, I thought it's a good thing because for non-smokers, or for like the occasional smokers,
Mm-hmm.
because when you go to a party, like an outside party, and you get a bit drunk, you
Yeah.
always like tend to, smoke a cigarette. So now you have a vape that's, let's say, cheap. It will last you for a decent amount of
Mhm.
time. And you don't have to buy like, a vape for 500 crowns and the
Yeah.
liquid and everything.
You could just get like one puff and be over with it.
Yeah, you can. So I thought that's good for it, but I was surprised how many people buy daily. Like they
like
don't.
the L bars.
Yeah, they buy like, let's say, 3 a week.
It should be. Isn't it like more worth it to just like buy a regular vape?
It
and,
is.
like, re-liquid it, or like is that the term you use? Like when you put the liquid in,
I don't know.
reload it.
Reload it. Because when I looked at it, my vape cost me like 500 crowns, and the liquid costs 110 crowns, right? And in the one use L bars, there's usually 2 milliliters of liquid, and it costs you like 170, 180 crowns. So, multiply it by 5, you're like 900 crowns, right?
It's much more expensive.
So it's more expensive to buy 5 of those rather than buying a vape and a liquid.
Hey, how much does a vape cost?
500.
Like a good one.
Well, it depends. If
There's
you
like one of our friends, one of my classmates, he has got this nice one that even has like a counter. It counts how many times he has puffed in the day and how much he's got left.
I don't know. I would say that if you want to like a vape for smoking, just like, you want to, just for the nicotine intake, let's say, just buy one for 500 crowns. But then if you want to make huge clouds or you want to have something like that, you
want to be cool.
And you want to be cool, you can spend like 2 grand on it.
This is also what I wanted to talk about. It's like, for me, like when it comes to like being cool, cigarettes still wins. It's just like I've got this image of like a fucking Chad guy, Chad worker, coming down from his work at the seaport and just like smoking a huge cigarette. It just looks better than like a guy fucking vaping. I don't know. It's just like it's got this.
It's because, but I think you're influenced by the tobacco.
Culture, yeah, as well. I'm influenced by the culture
and the propaganda of these companies.
Yeah, sure.
No, because for the tobacco, the cigarette always like was an example of, let's say, manhood or some of freedom.
It's portrayed as freedom.
Like the Marlboro cowboy and all these, they were portrayed in a way that after a hard day at work, you get a cigarette. Soldiers smoked cigarettes.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah, but you never see commercial about vapes these days.
No.
First because it's illegal, and they know that it's targeted.
You can't have vape commercials. I didn't know that.
You cannot have tobacco commercials in TV.
Huh.
You can have them only at these places where they actually sell them. It's in the Czech Republic at least. I don't know. I think it's somehow.
In the US, vapes are banned entirely. Like flavored vapes are banned in the US, I believe.
I think they
Trump banned them. Flavored ones, and I honestly don't get like why you can still get like the aforementioned blueberry or like strawberry flavors here, because like it gets the kids more hooked. I think like the Czech government should be like more focused on curtailing the influence of tobacco and just like ban the flavors.
Yeah, well, they're somehow getting there because they banned the flavored cigarettes.
Yeah.
You had like the cigarettes.
Mint cigarettes were a huge thing.
Yeah, but before that there were like actually flavored ones like blueberry.
Oh, yeah.
And you can actually still buy them when you go, for example, to Turkey. I was actually surprised that they make like what was it? Apple cigarettes.
Really?
They made strawberry cigarettes.
Damn.
They made cherry cigarettes. I was actually surprised how many flavors of cigarettes there are.
Yeah, and in like these countries where like they're poor. I mean, Turkey's not like a poor country at all. But like to our
Egypt, for example.
Yeah, Egypt, for example, and also like Indonesia. I saw this documentary about tobacco as well on YouTube, and like in Indonesia, they still got these ads, and the tobacco industry is like booming, and is like on an uptick. Even like a lot of young people are encouraged to smoke. It's crazy. Like we don't talk about this. How like in third world countries or poorer ones in general, the tobacco industry is such an influence. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And here in the vapes are back to the original topic about the banning of them. The Czech government is banning IQOS.
Really?
Not like the entire thing, but the flavored ones.
Yeah, I was like caught off guard. Like, oh, they're banning like the entirety of electrical cigarettes.
No, it's not. It's heated tobacco, not electronic cigarettes.
There's
a difference.
I mean, they're called electronics. Like when you. They always say like, well, I'm gonna have a puff of the electronic here. They say that just
but I think that's just
Czech thing, yeah, like
yeah, but nevertheless, they banned the flavored heated tobaccos. The fun fact is that I don't know anyone like from the kids, 18, 17, 15, who would be smoking IQOS. Second of all, who would be smoking flavored IQOS. because they're not really as spread as vapes here.
They're not.
I know a lot of teenagers who buy vapes.
Yeah, and that's also like the interesting factor. You mentioned how well they managed to rebrand like the tobacco, because like IQOS and like electrical cigarettes have been here for a long time.
Philip Morris.
Sorry?
The company is owned by Philip Morris.
Yeah,
one of the
so
largest.
they've been here for a long time, and yet vapes have come into popularity like 5 years ago, and they overtook the market of the like non like regular cigarette. And it's crazy.
Yeah, because
It's all about marketing.
Because IQOS is good for people who are trying to quit smoking or a less dangerous, less harmful alternative. But vapes attract new smokers.
Yeah.
Because it's sweet, you don't smell, and it's targeted on children. Really. I mean, you still get like the feeling. Perhaps you're cool, with all these smoke coming out of your mouth, etc., etc.
Doing cool tricks, clouds, puffing clouds, like you do when we go on
hookah.
On hookah.
And that's the thing. Also, hookah skyrocketed and its popularity in the Czech Republic. Now a lot of people. I'm always like pissed when I see people at like a shisha place or a hookah place and they're vaping.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, you've got a hookah in front of you.
Yeah, it's like
use that.
I'm actually surprised how many people are strongly addicted to nicotine that when you take the hookah from them, they actually just put vape in their mouth. Because with Christoph, we went to this specific place and we talked to the server there. And he said, well, I have like these free electronic cigarettes, like these free vapes. I do hookah. I do 20 milligram liquids, which are like the 20 milligram nicotine per some. I don't know what's the ratio. It's the strongest nicotine power you can buy here legally. And well, I use vape in the cinema. He's like everywhere. He's like, these small ones are actually good.
But you can't vape. It's treated like cigarettes, right? Like when you want to smoke indoors, like when you want to vape, can you?
More people are tolerant to vaping because it just disappears.
Yeah, but I mean, if you go to a restaurant, it's got this symbol of like a pictogram of like a cigarette band. Yeah. Like, can you vape there?
I think you cannot vape because of the amount of smoke or cloud, or call it however you want. But you can still smoke IQOS. Although the IQOS smells way worse than cigarettes and vape.
Really? It's got this specific smell. I actually kind of like it.
I hate it.
It's all about preference. I actually recently discovered that there are people who think that like cigarette, like the reeking, fucking disgusting cigarette smell actually smells good. Like a manager from Burger King, where I work at, he actually said that, the smell of cigarettes brings up child memories in him, because like his dad would like smoke all the time. It's actually he considers it a pleasant smell, and I was like abhorred by it. Like, how can you consider like a cigarette like smoke, which is considered globally considered like in general like as a bad odor? Like, how can you consider that a pleasant smell?
Well, somebody likes it. But I would just ask you to hold your thought right there.
Sure.
I'm so thankful you watched it until here. I will see you at the next episode. This will be all from us. If you want to see an extended cut, you can actually visit our Hero, as George promoted it already. He says it's worth it.
Master plugger. I know how to plug.
Okay, he knows how to plug apparently.
It wasn't meant to be taken in a sexual sense.
We will be discussing more topics in the extended cut. We will get perhaps into something as sexual as plugging, apparently.
Sure. I got a lot of experience with that.
He has a lot of experience in it.
I have no idea. Any.
Okay, we're just gonna keep it right there. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you at another episode.